Hey, good afternoon from the UK, wherever you may be, and good morning or evening if someone else happens to be popping on by. As I go live today, I'm just doing one of my regular decolonising our mindsets through generative listening. It's just a little game I created a couple of months ago. I find it good for my soul, and hopefully, if someone's out there live watching this or watches it back, you may feel inspired to take a few moments of your own reflection. But before I do that, I like to honour very, very cool human beings. And one is Anna Denardin, who happens to do all of my branding, an incredible regenerative artist and graphic designer based out of Brazil. You can find their LinkedIn profile below, should you be interested. And also the awesome human Peter Griffiths, who is also, not everybody knows this, he's also a music composer and DJ, and he is one half of the Mind Takeaway. So if you like that tune, and maybe interested in getting your own tune created for you, then why not check out Peter and the Mind Takeaway. And that track is called Kaleidoscope, by the way. And it's actually a track that's literally there, because imagine a kaleidoscope. I don't know if when did you last use a kaleidoscope? It's been years for me, but literally imagine you look through your lens on the world, and what's coming out the other end, of course, is a myriad of infinite possibilities. And that's really what the tune and hopefully my work and what all of our work, I think, in the end is about, right? Is how do we actually try and open up the aperture for more creativity, more abundance, more connection, and ultimately a more healed world. And oh, hello, Caroline. Always love to see you pop by. And there's, I hate it when it says LinkedIn user because I can't say hello back to you. Hello, LinkedIn user. I'll have to pop back into LinkedIn. But hey, I'm just going to, it's not, these are normally like 5 or 6 minutes long. If you stay with me, great. If you don't, nice to see you. But what it is, I'm trying to create these little 5-minute spaces, which is a combination of Jane Adhead Grant's listening deck. And I know Caroline has a pack of these because I gave them to her when we had our last human development space together. And the other one is With or Without Modernity by Decolonial Futures. Now, decolonial can sound quite heavy, right? Because we're talking about decolonisation. And I'm not an expert on this, but I'm working my way through learning more. The whole point is we have all, every single one of us, no matter where you've been born in the world, no matter what your current situation is, whether you've got no money, loads of money, lots of friends, no friends, we've been conditioned by a range of patterns of behaviour over the last 500-600 years since the Dutch and the British went on their colonisation march for the last 600 years. Now, these patterns of behaviour are things like fear, they're things like binary thinking, they're things like qualification. They're patterns that we swim in, day out. We don't even notice that they're there. And that's the scary thing. Oh, hey, hi, Akia. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, from Nigeria. Thank you for adding. Really appreciate you being with me briefly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick one random card from the decolonial deck and one random card from the listening deck. And the whole point of this is just to try and gamify and make it a bit playful for us to go a little bit deeper around the patterns of behaviour that we may be swimming in, that we may be perpetuating. There's zero judgment in this. But if you're really interesting, don't be turned off by the title White Supremacy Culture Info. I know that could put people off, but don't just see it as culture patterns, because that's what they are, right? Yes, they did come. They were perpetuated by a group of white men 600 years ago and continue to be perpetuated by a lot of white men at the top of organizations in 2022. But this is about creativity. This is about empathy. This is about reimagining what's possible. So here we go. Here's the 2 cards. The first card, I'm shuffling. Can you hear that shuffling sound? I'm going to pick a random card. That random card from this deck is... Oh, big one. Can you see that? So, random invitation to face complicity in harm with integrity and without defensiveness. What that means is, let me bring that to life for you. I, as Gary, work within the chemicals industry full time. So my version of that is, I have to look at myself in the face and know that I'm part of a extractive global supply chain that is causing harm to indigenous people in the Amazon basin, to indigenous people in West Papua, off of the west coast of Papua New Guinea in Southeast Asia. These people just want to live their life in line with their nature systems, their traditions of over thousands of years. But the industry that I'm part of, and that allows us to make the screen that I'm now looking at you through, is causing harm to those people. I'm not happy to share that. It's not an easy thing to share, but it's part of my work in decolonising my own mindset. And how do I share this with you now in the moment? Is to offer you the invitation is what might you be involved in? What is your way of life perpetuating that may be harming people many thousands of miles away from your own context? So that's the random invitation, really important one. And now I'm going to shuffle the listening deck. By the way, I'm not making light of this. Yeah, I'm gamifying the conversation to try and make it accessible, but I want you to go deep. I want you to go deep into that question and just sit in it. Don't be afraid of it. Don't feel ashamed of it. Just allow yourself to feel in your body the reactions that you have to that question. Right, next one, random, cut the pack. This card. Give your attention. So keep gentle eye contact and hold an open body posture. Now, this is why I love this game, right? It's a totally randomly created game that I did 2 months ago, and I enjoy doing it. I enjoy offering you the potentiality that comes from embracing these cards. But let's put them two things together now. This is the whole point of decolonising our minds through generative listening, okay? So if we're able to give our attention, not be afraid of or run away from the realities of where we are systemically, we are then able to face into that complicity together, not feel ashamed, not feel embarrassed, not run away from it. And we can give attention to it and say, hey, what can I do differently? What can we do differently as a collective to try and reduce that harm through the systems? So how am I doing that? Honestly, you can't make this stuff up, people. It's just amazing. They are two randomly picked cards, and look how amazingly they interplay with each other. So what does that mean for me? That means for me as Gary, working in the deep extractivist sector, someone that cares about more justice and equity and an imagined new world beyond where we are, I can now say, hey, I'm going to have a conversation with someone within my workplace and ask them, how do they feel working in a sector that is not only really helpful for modern life, it helps us with drugs development, it helps us with transportation, it helps us, with laptops and mobile phones. So it's really helpful, but the harm that my industry is directly linked to is actually extremely negative. So how do we try and square that circle, right? That's what I'm sitting in. And how can I have more conversations with people within pharmaceuticals, within the food and the food market, within companies that are manufacturing plastics, global supply chain that moves those raw materials around? I want to be in that dialogue with more people. That's my invitation, and that's my responsibility as Gary. And I'm going to take a picture of these two cards, and I commit to share this with a number of my colleagues in my own workplace, but also I'm going to share this online at some point in the next few days with an invitation to my industry peers to get curious. Because nobody's broken, right? Nobody needs fixing. What we need to do is reimagine together what is possible. So that's my example. So I'm going to pop in the comments. We've had a couple of, thank you very much. Akare. Thank you, Akare. Thank you for joining me. I love it, love it, love it. Appreciate you correcting me and letting me know how to pronounce your name. It's so important I see the whole of you and how you want your name pronounced. And thank you very much for being with me. Hey, Caroline. Does any industry have to cause harm a new way? Brilliant. I love the question, Caroline. And I think we don't need to. Absolutely. No industry needs to cause harm. And I believe that we need to be able to understand how our current industries cause harm to be able to reduce the harm. There's so many industries, give my example, for example, in chemicals and in the global supply chain, there's a lot of really important work being done around sustainability, around environmental justice, but it's not going anywhere near far enough. So it's a lot of box ticking of sustainability to continue the capitalist consumer-based systems that are currently existing in the West. So there's something here around reducing consumption. There's something around including the people that are most harmed in the design of whatever's coming next in the next 10, 20, 50, 100 years. But I love the question. Love, love, love the question. And thank you, Akare, for being with us as well. I think that might be your comment around you love the cards. What I want to invite you, if you do like these cards, and again, it's making it playful, right? We have to be able to have a conversation about this stuff. It's deep, it's systemic, but it's also day to day as well, right? I can have this conversation with my wife, with my friends, just raising awareness, one conversation at a time. 2 cards at a time. That's all this is about. So I hope you found that interesting. You can find both sets of cards in the show notes. If you're watching me on LinkedIn, as most people are, this will also go out on YouTube. You can find out a little bit more. If you're curious to find out more about the stuff I'm up to, you can find that at hexochangenow.com, one word. Sign up there. You get 1 or 2 emails from me, no more than that a week. And that's it. We can keep in contact. And I just want to come back to, because, yeah, Caroline, absolutely. Tends to come down to cost. It absolutely does. And we're going to get to the real acid test with all of this. What cost we put on human life. That's what it's going to come down to. What cost we put on human life and what cost we put on nature. Because they're both the things most impacted by our current systems, but aren't the things being discussed enough when we're relatively comfortable in the West. So they're the big things. They're the big things that are coming. So, much love. I want to thank you both for joining me. Have a wonderful day. I hope you find some value in this share. I've kept it below 10 minutes. And have a wonderful day and afternoon, whatever you're doing. And I will be doing this semi-regularly because, I enjoy it. It allows me to express myself and allows me to learn with you as we go. Take care. Much love, one and all. And take care, really. And I will speak to you soon. Laters.